Marhaba, and hello to our brothers and sisters around the world. Once again, this is just American writer and historian Dr. Jack Dempsey, living in Crete these days. And with me is my friend, writer and historian Muhammad Jihad Ismael, who lives in the Gaza territory in Deir al-Balah, south of Gaza City. Today is April 5th, and we are speaking on the wings of more violence in the Palestinian struggle for justice. We just always want to point out front that if you are wondering as you listen, how can I help? Well, there are ways. Write to your government directly, write to your own government directly and ask them, demand that they end the policies that either spell support or indifference to the Israeli apartheid that keeps 2.5 million people like Muhammad and his beautiful young family locked into Gaza for 15 years now. Okay. The second way is what we call family to family. Muhammad can directly connect you via Zoom like this with Palestinian individuals and or families with whom you can become friends, as he and I have done for almost 2 years now. One of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And we are able, through using simple Western Union, no NGOs, no banks, no governments, to reach over the wall of apartheid that confines them like prisoners for no crimes. And you can arrange with your new friends to help them any way that you might like. Finally, we do support BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. They are worried about this. It's a growing world movement, and any way that you can, please do try to help Palestinians by observing what products you consume and where they come from. There are also web pages out there that are dedicated to being able to sell Palestinian grown olive oil. It's the best in the world. And it might cost you a little more, but imagine all the good you'll be doing by just trying to help them keep their industries going. So, Mohammed, as usual, you're living in a crisis that never ends. No fresh water, very scarce food, medical supplies, people's despair increasing daily, businesses dying because they cannot export what they produce, they cannot pay their workers. It just goes on and on. And over the past couple of days, we've seen a new outbreak of violence. So, with my lengthy introduction, as usual, I just want to say hello to you, brother. Welcome once again. And how are you today? How is the family today? You said your house was shaking back and forth because Israeli planes and artillery shelled Gaza last night. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, brother. Thank you, brother, for this beautiful introduction. Uh, Thank you for all our friends who are watching us from all over the world. In fact, if you want me to talk briefly about what happened yesterday, we had very fierce and very brutal bombing in my area, in my surrounding, and along the borders with Israel, whether artillery bombing or air raids or missiles, etc. It was very, very, very bad night. Children didn't sleep even 1 minute. Now they are sleeping. Now they are sleeping in order to compensate the last night, because last night, as I told you, they didn't sleep one single minute, unfortunately.
And you have two little girls, two twin girls, beautiful Lena and Dina, who are perhaps 2 years old, and a beautiful young son who is perhaps 6 years old. They tremble, they cry, they scream, they are absolutely terrorized. This is going on all the time. Mohammed, let's back it up 2 steps. One, the conflict at Al Aqsa Mosque yesterday and the bombing brought on by Hamas launching rockets. What exactly, as in your understanding, happened at Al Aqsa? And if people go to either The Guardian or Al Jazeera, you will see the most horrifically savage beatings going on by Israeli soldiers with their boots on inside Al Aqsa Mosque. I have never seen a more violent film of people being clubbed, beaten with guns, etc. Something Muhammad himself, when he was a little boy, went through, and I'm going to ask him about that too. But what happened at Al Aqsa Mosque? What caused the violence there, Muhammad?
Yes, brother. I think all the people are watching since many weeks and days that Israel has some sort of internal conflict between the Israeli parties, between the ultra-Orthodox parties and the middle parties and the leftians, etc. We can call it a political civil war. I think what happened last night in Al-Aqsa Mosque was an Israeli attempt to export the internal crisis into the Palestinians. They want to get rid of those marches and those demonstrators who are marching in the streets, whether against Netanyahu or supporting Netanyahu. I think what happened last night in Jerusalem was an attempt to export this crisis, and they want to throw the ball of fire into the Palestinian hands. What happened yesterday also was an attempt to provoke the violence of Hamas and the other Palestinian military groups, because we know that Hamas doesn't has like a political rational mind. They doesn't have any kind of wisdom. Directly, they make some sort of reaction against those Israeli practices by firing rockets and making some violence. I think also they used to, and I think they succeeded to provoke the violence of Hamas the last night.
Now, from media coverage that I've been able to find, Wanda Weiss, Palestinian Chronicle, Al Jazeera, and other sources, it seems from people who were there were hundreds of worshippers at Al Aqsa saying their daily prayers in the evening at because it's part of Ramadan, the high holy days of the Muslim year. The Israelis apparently were told that some boy, some young child or young man had brought, quote, sticks and stones and some fireworks with him into the mosque. I don't know why. He was certainly not going to attack people in the mosque. And so the Israelis rushed in as if this was some kind of security threat, amplified by the rumor, anyway, that there is a sharing going on between Muslims and Jews at Al Aqsa, and the Muslims had overstayed their limit. At their time to leave, they were still there, a few minutes late in leaving, and the Israelis rushed in with the most savage beatings I've ever seen anywhere on film. I hope the world is aware of this kind of savagery. Hamas from Gaza responded, as you say, with a few of their, well, sad little unguided rockets that did no harm. They're really akin to fireworks. They're not guided missiles such as the Israelis have. And so the Israeli response was to bomb Gaza. So what again, I hear what you're saying about that trying to make the whole atmosphere so violent that the demonstrations against the government by Israelis themselves might stop or subside. We know for quite a while that it seems obvious that the Israelis are trying to provoke the Palestinians into violence, by which they can then, quote, justify whatever they want to do next.
Yes, brother. What happened last night in Al-Aqsa Mosque was a violation for the human rights and for the ethics, the general ethics of humanity. Yesterday, they used to attack a sacred place. Al-Aqsa Mosque is a holy place and sacred place, not only for the Palestinians, but for all the Muslims around the world.
Yes.
They used to throw their garbage. They used to kick the holy Quran by their feet. They used to walk inside the mosque with their shoes. They used to step upon the blankets of this mosque with their shoes. And this is very, very sacred action in our
Yes.
religion. You
Sacrilege.
cannot go inside. Yeah, you cannot step and walk inside such a place wearing a shoe in your
Of
feet.
course.
You have to take off this shoe before you go inside.
Right.
So they used to violate the holiness of this place. Besides that, I think you saw in so many media how much their attack was brutal. They used to beat the worshippers with their guns, with some bars of iron and
Yes.
steel upon their heads. Yeah, uh,
And
I
you can
think
see
this
on the film that they
violence.
are, you can see on the film that they are just over and over and over and over again. I've never
Yeah,
seen brutality of that intensity before. Now, I understand that a young Palestinian man was killed the night before this near Al Aqsa as well. Do you know anything about that?
yes, yes, of course. Yeah, of course. I watched the news. I am following up the news all the time. Of course, I listened about that guy who passed away one night before. Let me clarify something additional. In addition to the guns, they used to beat the worshippers with the carriers of Quran. We have a metal carriers.
Mm-hmm.
We use them to open the Quran and to
Yes.
put this. It looks like a table, like a small table made
Yes.
of metal. We use to put Quran upon it. And it's a very, very heavy item. They used to use it in beating the worshippers.
Now, in response to this unbelievably savage and brutal action, Hamas launched some rockets to protest this treatment. None of them fell anywhere near being able to hurt a person. But I'll tell you something, most of the mainstream media coverage I've seen, it says, well, here's the news. Hamas has launched more rockets from Gaza last night. And then near the end of the story, they get to maybe mention that the Israelis invaded Al Aqsa Mosque, the most sacred place in the world to Muslims. So it's always just, well, unprovoked violence from Hamas and the Palestinians throwing explosives over the barbed wire, although they don't mention the barbed wire, that it's a prison, right?
Yeah.
We've also been talking off the air, as it were, recently, Muhammad, and you've told me that Hamas has recently doubled the taxes that they assign onto every item that is allowed into Gaza in terms of food, supplies, water. And then they go and do this as a response to the violence from the Israelis. Can you can you talk at all about what it's like there in Gaza living in the under the Hamas government? And do the people want them to do something more intelligent than throwing weapons? It doesn't get them anywhere.
Yes, brother. Let me give you a complex answer. I will answer the first question, and after that, I will answer the second one. First of all, uh, as we just mentioned, Israel is used to export their internal crisis. The same thing I will say it about Hamas. when Hamas used to launch its unguided and primitive rockets, I think also in the same time they are using to export their internal crisis into the Israelis and into the outside world. So the same policy, the same action is being implemented here and there, whether in Israel or in Gaza. Also, Hamas used to throw the ball of fire into the face of the Israelis and the other world. Yeah, this is number one. Number two, if you want to speak about the situation in Gaza, now today is the 14th of Ramadan. Now we are reaching the middle of the Ramadan month. In this holy month, all the Muslims should find their food without any kind of corruption, without any kind of stealing. They should have their food, their meals in suitable prices. No one is allowed to steal them or to cheat them. Unfortunately, what we have in our life now is something contrary. If you go to the markets and just to explore the prices of the goods, you will get astonished. You will get crazy. Everything is expensive. All the prices are being the double. And this is a result of the continuous raising of Hamas taxes. Hamas is putting a continuous taxes over the goods which come to Gaza. And beside that, as I say always, we are paying three kinds of taxes. The first one is for Israel, the second one is for PA, and the third one is for Hamas. And maybe the one of Hamas is the biggest if you want to speak about the amount.
And all three of those entities, the Israeli government, Palestinian Authority, and Hamas, of all three of them, not even one does anything for the average Palestinian person. All the money, all the aid is sucked up by corruption and is never able to help, ordinary people like you and your family. I don't
Exactly.
know how the Palestinians bear up under this. I cannot understand it.
They want us to commit suicide. They want all the 2.5 million Gazans, they want all of them to commit a collective suicide. They doesn't give us any other option. They push you only to commit suicide or to be crazy. Yeah.
And as you have said, in walking the streets of your neighborhood and of the communities around you, you often see people that look very psychologically disturbed. And this begins with hunger. We've said it before in this program, but it's really a powerful statistic that if Israel allows per day 200 to 250 trucks full of food and supplies into Gaza, and that's it. Now you do the math with 2.5 million people, half of which are children, and you come out with the figure that somewhere between 12,000 and 12,500 people must try to get their daily food and sustenance out of one truck. That's the mathematical average. So if Muhammad's statement seems an overstatement to you, think about those numbers. The Palestinians in Gaza are on a starvation diet. There's no other way to look at it because also, those numbers are impossible.
Yeah, also, brother, we have to focus on the health sector in Gaza. Our crisis is not only in our lack of food and our high taxes and high prices. Besides that, the health situation is very, very miserable. Here in Gaza, you have no money to go to doctor and to go to pharmacy to buy your medicine. Let me tell you frankly, brother, here in Gaza, most of the people, maybe all the people, are preferring to die in silence rather than go to hospital and suffer from a chronic disease. Here in Gaza, people are preferring to die rather than to have a disease like cancer, like other hazardous diseases. Here, they are preferring to die in silence, like to sleep and to get up the next morning a
And
dead
face
body.
everything the same again. As you have mentioned too, if we want to help people imagine what it's like there, think of what you've seen of the ruins of the Turkish communities where the terrible earthquake struck last month. And imagine, as it is true, that over 90 countries have swooped in to help those communities recover medical care, building supplies, food, anything they need. The world is there, and their suffering will come to an end. In Gaza, it will not. There is no horizon of hope for the Palestinians in Gaza, or for that matter, in the occupied territories or in occupied parts of Jerusalem. There is nothing on their horizon that promises to bring any change whatsoever. And all the demonstrations that happen in the streets of Israel now against their government's new policies, they don't concern the Palestinians whatsoever. They don't care. They're right there next door. A mile from the fence of Gaza, there are Jewish suburbs with houses with swimming pools. And the Palestinians do not even have water to drink. So that's how inured they are. And many writers of Israeli descent, Miko Peled, Ilan Pape, and others, testify to this in their own growing up stories. We knew nothing of the Palestinians. We never saw them. Well, of course you didn't, because you've separated them out with your apartheid system.
Yeah, brother, let me please make a little comparison between our life here in Gaza, between the people of Gaza and some people in USA. I want all the people just to imagine with me. Here in Gaza, we are living in a very, very, very brief piece of land. The whole area of Gaza is 360 square kilometers.
Mhm.
On this very brief piece of land, we have 2.5 million population. I want our viewers just to compare these estimations, these numbers, these statistics with, for instance, a state like North Dakota, like Idaho, like New Mexico. Just to try to compare the area of Gaza to the area of North Dakota, Idaho, for instance, New Mexico, and try to compare the population density between the two places, between like Gaza Strip and North Dakota. How about the resources, the clean water, the everything. I want you just to make some sort of comparison
I
between
think I think I
something
saw
like
a
this and
figure where
that.
somebody did the mathematics of this and it came out. You tell me if I'm wrong or maybe too high, but somebody computed that it might be about an average of 15,000 Gaza Palestinians for every square mile.
Yeah, it's the highest in the world.
Yeah. And where does it go from here, Mohammed? I mean, they're trying, the Israelis, to provoke violence, but Gaza, the people are so exhausted, so malnourished, so discouraged that it seems they are not going to be lifting a finger anytime soon. Gaza, I mean, Hamas will throw a few rockets over that way and bring on more suffering, more artillery and bombing and jet planes swooping over the top of your house. Last night, your house was shaking with the bombing, and it's only been luck that you haven't been injured or the house hasn't been hit. It's only been the luck of that. I really want to urge people, and I'll stop talking, but I really want to urge people to reconsider again. Write your government and demand a change in these policies that support apartheid. Practice boycott, divestment, and sanctions, and consider participating in family to family. If you get in touch with us via the information below right here on this video today, we can easily match you up with real Palestinian people behind the walls of Gaza and help make their lives a little bit more bearable. At my blog, Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com, Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com, you can see pictures of Muhammad's beautiful family and the work that has been done to improve their living situation at their little house there in Deir al-Balah. And you would be able to experience exactly the same direct effect. When you send them any kind of help via Western Union, you see the results directly in their faces and in their living conditions. Please, if you really want to help as things get so desperate, consider that option. It's a real one, and it pays nobody anything except the Palestinians. Mohammed, what
Yes,
else?
brother. Yes, brother. Me too. I invite all our friends to follow up your website on WordPress. And really, in the coming few days, we are going to publish new beautiful photos for our new house. We are going to share with you uh, some brilliant photos for our first day living here in this place. We are unlucky last night because our first night in the new house was a tragic night. But uh, I am still optimistic. I think situation will be better. I think we shouldn't lose the hope. We have to fight for this hope. we have we haven't to surrender or to give up. I think we have to fight more and more for the uh, for this hope, and we have to uh, enlighten the life of those people who are suffering around me and in other parts of the world. Believe me, so many people are suffering from inequity and from poverty and from repression all over the world. Maybe Palestine is the longest occupation
Yes.
in history. Right now, we are the we are the only still occupied nation, but we have to plant this hope in our soil.
Yes. I I would like to be able to express what my wife and I feel every day for you and your family going through so much needless deprivation. In one of our earlier but fairly recent programs, we studied the Bible, the Torah, that is, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, and compared it with passages from the Quran as they both concern relations with other people, people who are outside of your religious group, your cultural group, etc. And the offer, so called, that the Israelites in the ancient times made to the inhabitants of Canaan was, well, here are your options. We've got you surrounded. You can leave, you can serve us as slaves, or you can die. Now, two of those options have been removed by Israel itself because they can't leave. They can't even serve as slaves because they are locked into the world's biggest prison. And so, as Muhammad says, by their own logic, it seems they're expected to die. Do we want to let that happen? I don't think so. Anyone who knows anything about Palestinian culture, how ancient it is, how sophisticated it is, how multicultural it is, how accepting of difference, how peaceful, how integrated it is, know that something incredibly valuable to the world is being destroyed actively. And Mohammed, I mentioned that we heard that 2 nights ago, before the riot at Al-Aqsa, a young man had been killed. I think he was the 90th person, Palestinian person, killed by Israel this year. And the year is scarcely 90 days old. What else do you want to say to the outside world right now as our time begins to finish?
Yes, brother. I say to our friends, our viewers, I say to them that this acceleration of violence in the Palestinian territories, whether the Israeli violence or the Palestinian one, uh, as I say always, this is against uh, the nature of humanity. I think we have to live in peace. We have to live in diversity, in harmony with each other. I am against the notion of throwing Jews into Mediterranean and to throw them back to Poland, to Lithuania, to Ukraine, I am against that. I think this land can embrace us, can take us, all of us, between her hands, between her arms. I think all of us can live here, can share life here. So I am wondering why we have this hatred, why we have this acceleration of violence. Why? I think we should get rid of all of this mess. We have to live here in peace. And for me, as Muhammad, I never lose the hope for this peace. I think I have to fight for it as an intellectual and historian. I have to fight for it because we have to live in peace, because all of us, we are in big need, in massive need for this peace.
And it's worth pointing out as our time goes, Mohammed, that to refresh people's awareness, we did a program some chapters ago about your family's ancestral village called Shafir, which is no longer there after thousands of years, and it's a Jewish only settlement now. But in ancient Shafir, and this is testified to in a film called The Land Speaks Arabic. The Land Speaks Arabic at YouTube for free. Check it out. You will hear the voices of elders and ancestors, such as Muhammad's own, telling people about the past. What I'm trying to say is the media in the West mostly say, well, this is an intractable problem. It is a very ancient problem. It is a very complicated problem. And it is none of those, because in Shafir, they had a temple, a mosque, and a church. All the different religions and cultural groups very much used to live together as perfectly or imperfectly as human beings ever do anywhere. They know how to live together. Somehow this is foisted upon all of them. And as Muhammad often points out too, neither Hamas nor PA would last 3 months, 6 months without outside subversive support that keeps the wars going. So if you are going to boycott, don't worry that you're going to hurt Palestinian average people, because they have nothing anyway. They have no one to stand for them. They have almost no jobs, no economic opportunity. Education is at a standstill. They can't be hurt any more than they are. The point is to be able to somehow get the attention of the tyrannous authorities, Israel, Hamas, and the PA, that are driving the Palestinian people into the ground. Into the ground. And that's a literal way of saying what Muhammad told you before. People would just rather die quietly than try to fight for survival in this penned up ruin. Muhammad,
Yes.
this is a darkly toned program for us today, but these are dark times, very violent and seemingly impossible to fix. I would want to open the floor to anything you'd like to say in closing today, and we'll hope that people have heard what we've asked them to do and will begin to take action. What do you think?
Yes, brother. I will say briefly, since the dawn of history, this land, Palestine, was a land of diversity. Here on this land, Canaanites, people of the sea, Israelites, Amorites, Arabs,
And Hebrews.
Mesopotamian,
A-
Phoenicians,
And Hebrews.
etc. Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Yes, brother. All of these people have lived together. So I think we had this experience before. So we are not going to discover a new discovery. No, no, no. We had this experience before so many centuries. And I think, as you just mentioned in Shafir, we had this diversity and in all the villages and towns of Palestine. So we are not going to discover a new discovery. No, no, no. We had this experience before that, and we can revive it again. So for that, I am fighting to achieve this dream, to make this dream realized, and I will never lose the hope.
Muhammad, I want to thank you for talking with me and with everybody today, letting us know what it's like from the inside there in Gaza. And we'll be posting another program soon. We do Palestinian cultural topics, political subjects, all kinds of things, and we hope people will join us again soon. Thank you very much, brother. Give our God's blessing to your family, and we wish you a happy Ramadan together, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Muhammad. God bless you.
Thank you.